spectrum. Now, spectrum, what is spectrum? Electromagnetic spectrum. It is how we communicate. It's how our cell phones work. It's how Wi-Fi works. It's how satellites work. It's how streaming works. It's all of electronics. Spectrum, the largest holder of spectrum is the United States government. The United States government has vast swaths of spectrum. And under Joe Biden, the United States government stopped making new spectrum available to the private sector. They ended auction authority. It was grotesquely irresponsible. It did massive damage to America. It destroyed jobs in America, and it let China get ahead of America. In this bill, I wrote the legislation that directs the federal government to auction to the private sector 800 megahertz of spectrum for private sector investment. What does that mean? Number one, that will generate in excess of $100 billion of revenue to the federal government.
Wow.
Real money. Now, even in government terms, $100 billion is real money. And listen, you and I are deeply concerned about the deficit and the debt. The entire commerce title that I wrote that had historic investments in Coast Guard and a bunch of other things, I ended up saving over $40 billion, reducing the deficit and the debt by over $40 billion. And the driver was because of Spectrum Auction Authority, we will bring in $100 billion to pay down the debt.
That's incredible.
That's real money, but it's not the biggest piece of this. The biggest piece of this is by auctioning this spectrum off, we will open up billions and billions of dollars of private sector investment. The companies that buy this spectrum are going to invest. It is going to create hundreds of thousands of jobs. That is not an exaggeration. Hundreds of thousands of jobs. And you know what spectrum is all about? Beating China to 6G. I mentioned my consistent theme, beat China. Beat China in the Arctic with the Coast Guard. Beat China to 6G with spectrum. And I got to tell you, 3 months ago, there was nobody in Washington who thought we could get this done. I sat in the office of the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, a good friend of mine. I said, Mike, we're going to do spectrum on the One Big Beautiful Bill. And Mike laughed in my face. He's a good friend, but he just started laughing. No way. He said, there's no chance because the Department of Defense and the CIA will fight you. They will stop you. You cannot get it done. We not only got it done, when I cut the deal and got it in the bill, President Trump called me the next morning. He said, Ted, this is incredible. This is like, how did you get such an incredible deal? Historic Spectrum Auction Authority producing hundreds of thousands of jobs and beating China to 6G. That's in the bill.